Today on the channel, I'm going to show you how to play Crazy Train. Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at how to play Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne or Randy Rhoads. So, I'm playing my Gibson Flying V. This is a 2017 Flying V in honor of Randy today. And man, Flying Vs are so hard to sit down with, but you can sure get as much fret access on these things as you possibly want. These are probably the ultimate shred guitar for upper fret access. So anyways, Crazy Train. Randy Rhoads was a fantastic player, as all of you know, and he was classically trained. So much of his music with Ozzy had a very classical influence to that. So I'm going to try to outline some of that theory and knowledge in this lesson so it can make a little bit more sense and give you some tips and maybe some insight on how to write parts like this and come up with your own stuff. And I think if you understand a lot of times the why behind the what in a player's style, it makes more sense when you try to learn what that player's doing rather than just memorize the frets. Because really, music theory, it can be complicated, but it's also very simple when you break it down to its most basic terms and principles. First of all, don't get scared. Music theory is not it's not a direction or a rule book, like you have to write a certain way. It's basically a set of parameters that give you guidance on how to use chord structures and melody and harmonies and things like that that we're familiar with in Western music. And our classical composers, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Tchaikovsky, Stravinsky, all these guys, Chopin, Paganini, I mean the list goes on and on and on. They were all classically trained, so that's why a lot of this stuff sounds very similar. You can really pick up on it with your ear. So I'm off in the weeds a little bit, so let's begin with this lesson. First of all, the song is in A major, but the opening riff is in F sharp minor. A little bit of music theory: A major and F sharp minor are the same key. They're relative to each other. There's a thing known as a relative major and minor. A relative major and a relative minor just mean they're the same key, but the tonic note is different. The tonic is the starting note. So if you play an F sharp major or a F sharp minor pentatonic scale, like the blues scale, like that, it's also the same as an A major pentatonic. So or you can play the same blues scale over A or F sharp minor if you're in this blues pattern. Just to put it in reference to another key, if you go to C, for example, the relative minor for C major is A minor. All you do is you go down 3 frets. 1, 2, 3. So there's A minor. Go up 3, 1, 2, 3. There's C major. So if you play an A minor pentatonic over a C major progression, that's really a C major pentatonic scale also. Same key, relative major and minor. So this song is in A major or F sharp minor. They're both relative, same key. So the opening riff is in F sharp minor, which is the 6th minor chord of A. So A, B, C, D, E, F sharp. There's your 6th chord. So we're going to start on the 6th. And the riff, from a technique perspective, we're going to palm mute. Palm muting means you place your side of your hand over the strings gently. I'm putting it over the bridge pickup like this, and we're going to palm mute. So the riff sounds like this, and then I'll slow it down for you and I'll add the tablature. So that's a pretty basic riff right there, right? So what we're doing is we're going to, it's all downstrokes. like old school Metallica. All right, so even though that was before Metallica. Anyways, we're gonna start on the F sharp, couple chugs, and we're gonna go up to this 4th fret on the A string, which is a C sharp, but and back down to the F sharp. And we're creating a pedal tone, which is very classical. That bass note, you know, you hear it in like, you know, Eric Johnson stuff. But the pedal tone is that G. It kind of gives you that gravity. Your ear knows, hey, I'm still in F sharp, but I got this little melody going over it, but we're going back to that F sharp. So that's the first part of that riff. So what I did there was I play this B string on the 2nd string on the A, this B note on the A string, and I pull off to an A, like that. So that riff is B, A, G sharp, A. In this hand, I'm picking very little. I'm just going. So the riff goes down to the low E after that. It goes. And then it repeats. And I'll slow that down just a little bit more. I was trying to play Sweet Dreams by Manson. Anyway, forgot how that went. So there's your opening riff. Before he does this riff, he does this really crazy pick slide. And I forgot to mention that, but his pick slide isn't like a Van Halen pick slide. Eddie would always go on those low two strings, the E and the A. But what Randy does is he hits it right around the bridge pickup, I think, and he kind of scrapes his pick a little bit with it, like that. It kind of gives it that creepy sound. So. And then the turnaround on that riff is just a D chord to an E, right? And then he's going to not modulate, but he's going to go back to the 1, which is the A. So we're back home. So after we go, there's your next lick. So what I'm doing there is I'm going. So I'm going. 4 strokes, alternate picking. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, down, up. And I'm palm muting the A chord. And then the 5th stroke down, I'm going. We lead into this chord, which is. So he's got this pedal tone going. It's very Van Halen. Vito Bratta did a lot of stuff like this too. I'm just going to take these, I'm going to turn my volume down a little bit so I can clean this up, and I'm going to show you these chords. So the intro is this chord, or the verse part, right? We're going to play this chord, and then we're going to take that same chord and bring it down here. And then he goes. putting those things in the middle of those chord changes. And then full volume, it's... And I'm just going... A lot of times when you hear Randy play it live, he does that all the time. Sometimes on the record, he just goes... It's like the You Really Got Me thing. Very rock and roll, cliche thing that's cool to do. And then he sticks in the Unskinny Bop lick, which was not really around at the time, but CC DeVille took the Crazy Train lick and put it in Unskinny Bop. So what that is it's a pull-off on the G string, 4-2 open. And then you play the D string, 4-2, and then open. And you can do it on the A string too. You can play it sloppy, you can play it clean. It's really all about the attitude and the conviction that where you stick that riff and the timing. So I don't think Randy Rhoads really. I mean, I know he played the same licks all the time, but he doubled his solos. He doubled his rhythm parts. If you listen to Randy's studio parts, all of it's doubled. Some of it may be tripled, so it has this godlike sound to it. And even Zakk Wylde doubled his guitar parts like crazy. Well, every metal guitar player pretty much doubles and quadruples their guitar parts, but Randy specifically doubled his parts very tight, his rhythm parts and his leads. And I think it was necessary because you can tell the production on that early Ozzy stuff wasn't the highest budget stuff, and they were probably, when Randy would break into a solo or rhythm part, they needed Randy to sound huge, and only being one guitar player in the band, you've got to fill a lot of space. And that the classical solos and the riffs really sticks you out there in the open. So it's like being bare naked in the middle of stage trying to play these parts, and on record it's got to sound even bigger because you don't have the show and the lights and the smoke and the crowd. You don't have the energy to supplement that. So a great technique in the studio for him was to double that stuff, and it was really impressive because he had to know those licks. I'm sure he cut those licks and practiced them and then doubled them immediately so he wouldn't forget what he was doing. So and sometimes you pick a lick in the studio that's a little cliche, but it works just because you've played it a million times and you know you can double it. And time is money, and if you've only got 2 hours to cut guitar tracks on 4 songs, sometimes you don't really have the time to sit there and figure out stuff unless you've done a lot of homework, played these songs live forever, and spent hours in your hotel or on the bus. And those guys probably didn't really have the time to do that. So back in the weeds again, back to the song. So there's that little lick. If you want to go into Unskinny Bop, that's fine. You can actually probably meld those two songs together because they're so similar and they're both high quality pieces of music. Okay, so that's your verse. And then Ozzy says something, mental wounds. So what Randy's doing there is he's going back to F sharp. So what we're doing is very White Snake, Still the Night. You're taking an F sharp and you're just raising your pointer finger up and playing that low E in between. And then a D. And when I play my D, I just take my ring finger and my middle finger and I play it like this. And a lot of times I'll hit that low A on top of it also. So I'll play 4 strings, and it's all the middle strings, so it just sounds it sounds wicked. and I'm muting this low E string with my thumb, so that way I can really dig into it, and that low E string just, it doesn't ring out, it just kind of makes a thump, but you can't hear it. And then when he sings, I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. So the going off the rails is an A. You do a little walk down, which is a G sharp, F sharp, E. Going off the rails on a crazy train. So I think he repeats that chorus part twice. Yeah, that's how it goes. So anyway, I'm showing you the basics. There's a little lick that he does in that chorus, in between like some of the words Ozzy's singing. He goes. So what? And this kind of comes back in the guitar solo. So what I hear him do is. Something like that. Randy liked to play a lot with the blue notes. So I'm just taking this F sharp minor, that pattern, and I'm going. So that's really the nuts and bolts of the verse and the chorus. When he turns around to go back to the, he does the E, D to E thing again. Now the pre guitar solo, he goes real basic stuff. So he's going 6, 1, 5, A, E. Then D to E, or and then we go into the guitar solo. So I'm going to do my best to show you the guitar solo, and I'll put the tablature for this on the screen as well. Alright, so let's take a look at this guitar solo. The guitar solo starts off with a really cool tapping lick, and check this out, it's very similar to Eruption. So we're going to start off on the 9th fret and the 10th fret and the 14th fret on the B string. So the frets sound like this, the fretted note. And then we're going to slide up to, and then we're going to hit. Those are the notes, but the way that Randy plays it is he's going to go, like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap on the 14th fret on the B string, and we're going to keep our pinky on the 10th fret, and we're going to keep our pointer finger on the 7th fret, all right? So it creates this triad. And instead of going up like that, we're going to be going down. So we've got 2 taps on the 14th, and it's going to fret. It's going to fret that note on the 10th fret, and then we're going to pull off. So slow, and then we're going to raise our pointer finger up right here onto the 15th fret. So sped up, it sounds like. So that's the first part of that solo. And then he goes. There's some vibrato on the end of that blues lick. So what I'm doing there is I bring my pointer finger down to the 12th fret on the B string, and I've got my ring finger on the 9th fret of the B string. And I'm slowly bending that up. And that's that typical blues lick, like that we all know. So from the beginning of that, I can barely play today. The next phrase that we're going to do is up here on the F sharp minor blues position. So we want to keep our hands ready and fired up to play this F sharp minor position. So the lick in question goes. So he's adding a few more notes in there. He's adding one note into the blues lick, which is kind of a minor scale, but it's all pentatonic minor bass. So what we're doing there is we're raking, and I'm going to play the high E string on the 17th fret, and then we're going to go 16, 14, and then 17th on the B string, and we're going to bend that up a whole step and add some vibrato to it. And when you add that vibrato, it gives that note personality and musicality, and it also makes it sound like it's on pitch. One of the mistakes I see a lot of beginning players make is their vibrato is a little bit weird, and we're not able to bend on to pitch. We're either flat or sharp. So that you got to be very aware of your bends and your vibrato. So that lick goes, and it goes back up. So it's 14, 16, 17, and we're going to bend that 17 up a step and put vibrato on it. So and then we're going to play this little lick again that we remember earlier in the song. He went something like that, right? So what he's doing here is very bluesy pentatonic metal. So I'm doing a lot of pull-offs, so not picking a whole lot with my right hand. So take a look at this. Now, I've seen Randy play this live on video a lot, and I've heard it millions of times and on record. He doubled his solos, and so sometimes it's hard to actually kind of hear what he's doing. So I learned this by ear, so you kind of got to cut me some slack. So there's that lick, all right? And then he does this really wicked trilling thing. So what we're doing there is we're going back up to the 14th and 17th fret. And we're trilling it almost as fast as we can. And we're going to slide it up 2 frets and do the same thing. And then we're going to go up 1 fret, but we're going to expand our reach, so it's going to be 17 and 21. And we're going to take that 21 back down to 19, but we're going to keep this finger on the 17. And then we're going to slide this finger back down. So it's back down to the F sharp. And the way we end that is we go. So up to speed. Slow motion. And then he does this really, really difficult lick. This is probably the hardest lick for me to get in this solo. So what we're going to do is we're going to be in the F sharp minor pentatonic area of the fretboard, but we're going to play, it's on the G string, and it starts with an upstroke. The only way I can get this lick remotely close is if I start it with an upstroke. So we're on the 14th fret on the G string, and the lick is... I kind of got to get it started before I get it right. So the only way I can get this right is up pick, upstroke on that G string on the 14th fret, and then we're going to hammer on 16 and 14 on the D string. And then pick the A string on the 16th fret. So and I'm just going like this with this hand, that whole lick. And I'm kind of palm muting it. Like that. And it does it like 4 times. That's a great lick for just any occasion. So slow it's... And then he does this very classical trill thing, which is awesome. So he's going 13, 14, and then we're going to slide up to the 16th on the G string. And then he's got this ripping lick that he doubles, and I think he kind of plays it the same way. But even live, it's a little different what he does, but I'll show it to you what I do. And I play it kind of sloppy live. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm like the most technique-oriented player. I mean, I can hang with the best of them sometimes, but sometimes you just got to let it rip. But it's... So that's how I hear it. So what I did there was I went right up the F sharp minor pentatonic. I'm going to play this very slowly. So that's the first part. And you can hammer on like that. I mean, he does a lot of hammer-ons where he just makes it sound fluid. If you were Paul Gilbert, you would alternate pick everything to precision. But Randy was a man of economy and musicality, and he liked to make things very legato and smooth, which is very classical also. And we got to switch up to... And that's just the next inversion of the F sharp minor pentatonic, which is we're going to be up here on the 18th fret on the G string, and then the high B string we're going to be on 17, 19, and then 17, 19 on the high E. And then we bend it up a whole step and then release it. So slow motion. So something like that. Once again, I'm not Randy Rhoads, but that's what I hear. And if you can get that lick down, then awesome. Some days I can do it, some days I can't. Some days it's the carrot, some days it's the stick. Well, anyway, that's Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne. I hope that you found this lesson helpful and informative. I hope that it gave you some insight regarding some music theory concepts that Randy used and that is in general used in a lot of theory regarding rock and neoclassical style metal. That's the tip of the iceberg. If you like the content, please comment below, subscribe.